Yeah, I can't even look. There's just so many. I mean, this week's messed up because there's college football all week because of Thanksgiving. I think there's a million Friday games.
So I got in before this weekend. I got look ahead on Thanksgiving games. And I thought, of course, Dallas would win and the Raiders would get smashed. So I laid the 7, thinking that would be bumped up to about 8.5 after a win on the Chiefs. But
Well,
no, but here's the thing. It's still at 7. So I didn't lose any value.
no.
The other, and then I went under the other 2 games. Yep. Welcome back. We appreciate you making it through the weekend and then hanging with us here on the Awesemo betting show on the Awesemo Odds channel. Myself, Ben Ross is in the house. Mike Awesemo is producing. BetMGM is powering this program with all of the odds that we're going to get to in a matter of seconds. We always ask you to lock it up. That means even if you come right away, you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. That's all. Leave right there in the chat and say, lock it up. We'll take college. We'll take the NBA. We'll take everything. I was thinking of an example, Ben, but there isn't anything that I can give that the chat won't trump, I'm sure, today, where we'll find some sort of exotic soccer play out there that John Shelton or somebody's going to tell us to lock it up.
Yeah, well, Champions League, I believe, returns tomorrow, but it's a great week of sports. There's no doubt Thanksgiving, obviously, everyone, equates it with the NFL, and rightfully so, but college football is winding down. College hoops, there's massive tournaments all week, and we've got everything in between. So fun week we just got, and we got a fun week ahead. I'm excited to dive into everything we have on tap today.
Yeah, and I think we should definitely mention a couple of things in the weekend recap as we open up before we hit Monday Night Football hard and heavy for sure. And how about Shelton reminding us on Thursday's show, the call out? I saw it again over the weekend. All of us, you, me, the chat, everybody was on the Utes. I know you were on the helmets on top of just playing the Utes in that game, but it's a pretty good place right there when the entire program is on one side and it hits.
Why is Utah wearing a helmet with a giant ship on it? I have questions about that, but on the field, they were far superior. They were just down. I think, listen, it's easy to say this now, but I think a lot of people realize that Utah is 2 different teams. They started the year with a transfer quarterback that didn't work out. Since they made that switch, they're clearly the best team in the Pac-12. We saw that on display, and it was a pretty good weekend. I was really happy with the college side of things. Yesterday was a little up and down. Your Birds really helped. Carolina really hurt. You get some ebbs and flows, and then what a shocker. Not that I had any real position on the game, but the Texans, they hadn't scored a touchdown on the road in 4 games, and they go in and beat what could easily be argued the hottest team in the league.
Yeah, it was just something about that. 10.5 points in division. I had to send you the cap because I knew you wouldn't believe me without proof of purchase on those tickets. But the Colts, my goodness, upsetting the balance in the NFL with that destruction of the Buffalo Bills. Jonathan Taylor has to be, if not the MVP, one of the lead candidates right now in the NFL. And then you mentioned, yes, Houston on the road upsetting. But how about Minnesota? Right?
Yeah.
We saw what happened the week after that. Also, Green Bay. Seattle. Like, I didn't expect Seattle to just punt on the season the way in which they did. I thought they would bounce back. Pretty surprising about that. Dallas laid the egg, yes, but I'm with you. The one that hurt the most was I jumped in last Sunday, -3.5 on Carolina because I saw that both of their stud defensive linemen in Washington were out. Sweat's going to be out, and Chase Young's going to be out. All right, I'll pound the 3.5. Oh, no, pardon me, 2.5 is where it opened up. Destroyed that. And then I saw it move up a little bit more because these guys were out and it was confirmed that they were out. So I took them again at 3.5. That, I don't know what to make of Washington. I don't know what to make of Washington at all, but that Carolina one stung for me 2 times over.
Yeah, I mean, what was there to say? I like that spot. They had their chances. They just simply got outplayed at home. Disappointing loss for them. I didn't think Cam was bad. And, you got a good number. I got 3, which was kind of agnostic, I guess you could say, in terms of beating the line. It just was there, but you take what you can get. Obviously, the goal here is to create value. That's what we're looking at in Monday Night Football tonight. We've got an interesting game there, and certainly in the college ranks, these spreads from Monday all the way to Saturday, they move, and the value that you could capture is obviously the key to success.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about some player props. Go to Odd Shopper. Once again, it's going to come up as far as how to use Odd Shopper to build your single game parlays. It's worked again for me, and put out the tweet as well. You should be taking full advantage. This is free for you. Full advantage of what's going on Odd Shopper. And we'll tell you about it a little bit more in detail when we get our player prop party. But let's get it, man, as far as just the game itself and looking at a side, a total, the narrative or game script that you think is going to play out here. Giants, you would think that the Bucs want to take out some frustration after getting beat by the Washington football team last week. And it may just be the Giants in front of them at this point. Big number at home, I get it, but I don't know. Tampa, this just seems like Tampa, perfect Brady, angry Tampa game.
I'm with you. I talked about this a little with Matt Kajeski this morning on this very channel. I think we're going to dive into both these teams, and Tampa's been very, very disappointing. I mean, they just lost to this Washington team, and there's really no excuse that I think you can make. They just simply didn't show up. But I still look, this is the best scoring offense in the entire league. They've still got every weapon imaginable. I know they're not at absolute top end full strength, but they're still pretty damn potent when we look at everything that they've got. And then you got a situation with the Giants. I'm still not a super believer in what they have going on. I mean, again, the more you break down their games, I think you got a lot of question marks. So Saquon coming back, sure, that's great, but how much does it impact them? I think they're going to have to score with Tampa today, and I don't think they will score. So even though I would love to find 10, I'm going to take 10.5 if I have to.
No issue there, right? It's just about the Giants' inability to do much. Now, what does that do with the total? If it's 49.5, it is below a couple of key numbers there. But if you think that the Bucs are going to clear this number and the Giants can't score to keep up with them, does that lean under?
I think it's about right. I mean, I think when you look at these teams, clearly, I mean, this is pretty obvious. You're going to rely, if you're going over, you're going to rely on Tampa for a large majority of those points. There's no doubt about it. I mean, but I still look at it where I don't want to personally be messing around with that. I think it's pretty on point. I feel much more comfortable if I'm looking at sides or totals, just going to Tampa, because I want to dive into the Giants for a second and just look at what they've been doing. So, they're playing a little better. There's no doubt, but they got absolutely crushed by the Rams about a month ago. Then they beat down Carolina, a Carolina team, though, that was using Sam Darnold and PJ Walker kind of interchangeably, really had nothing going on. The Giants go to Arrowhead. They lose by 3 to the Chiefs. Looks better and better each week, but at that time, the Chiefs were playing awful football. We saw the Chiefs struggle with a ton of teams. And then what happened? They followed it up. They beat the Raiders at home. The Raiders are playing basically as bad as anyone in the league. So I don't think the Giants are actually turning a corner by any stretch. I think it's just they've gotten some teams at the right time to make those results a little better. To me, Tampa Bay on the road on Monday night is a far cry from what they've been doing in recent weeks.
Yeah, it's a great point. When you look at the details of how the Giants have got by, especially at the Raiders, we saw that's evident.
The Raiders
Carolina, they're cooked. I mean, they're completely, and they're in Dallas, by the way. Dallas comes back. Well, I know we'll talk about a lot on the Thanksgiving edition here, but how can you not take full advantage? Short week. This team has quit. I don't know who has quit harder on the season, if it's Seattle or the Raiders, but they're neck and neck. Now, they're bad teams. They're worse teams in the NFL. Don't get me wrong, but I'm with you there. The Giants, they just don't stand a shot to really compete unless it's a big play, or maybe a broken play, or maybe they're down. We do know that you can throw some on Tampa. So that's why I was talking a little bit about the total here, because I'm hesitant to play a side on the total, mainly because I could easily see Tampa getting up. All of a sudden, things get a little softer. All of a sudden, the Giants are able to move the ball a little bit. Kadarius Toney has himself a day in the second half. and you get points. It's not that the gap narrows, Ben. It's just that all of a sudden it's easier for the Giants. A big play from Daniel Jones on the ground with broken pocket. I don't want to take a risk on that by riding the under. I kind of want to see the tempo of how much Tampa can get up first before I play anything. So it's going to be a live play, I think, for the total for me.
Yeah, I have no interest in the total. And, obviously, of course, there are ways that the Giants can cause some trouble. But right now, when I look at things, I don't think the books are anticipating that. Daniel Jones' rushing prop was sitting in the 20s. That's not expected to be a major factor in the game. And yes, the Giants got some guys back. But again, where is Saquon at? I don't know if anyone knows. Shepard is not going to be there. I think Kadarius Toney could be in line for a pretty big game, and we'll talk about him. But we're putting them up, and then you obviously have the Giants' offensive line, which I don't really trust going against Tampa's front, which is really strong. So just a tough spot altogether. Again, that's why you have to lay 10.5 points. Let's not make it like Tampa winning the game is going to be enough. They have to win comfortably, and that's always concerning. But it is Tampa or pass for me tonight.
Yeah, I agree. And looking at that from maybe a little bit more of a magnified standpoint here, because this came up last week about pushing a little bit of an alternative line. Let's assume you can't shop, right? We go to Odd Shopper. We look across the board. Everywhere we go says 10.5. All right. How much of a skip is it to bump this up to 13, 13.5, or even play the push at 14? I'll give you the read here. Plus 125 for 14, plus 115 for 13.5, plus 110 for 13.
I think this is a situation, they're few and far between, where that actually makes a lot of sense, because you're not incurring, from 10.5 to 11.5 to 12.5 to 13. Yeah, you're losing a little, but those are not key numbers, and you are moving it into plus money territory. So with a team like Tampa, I actually don't mind doing that if you can find the right line, and just hope that, if they hang 35 plus points, again, you're asking the Giants to put up 4 touchdowns. I don't know how often that really is going to happen. So unless the Giants defense can really step up and get pressure on Brady, and we've seen teams be able to do that. Again, Washington did cause problems, but I just think Tampa back at home, they're getting some guys back. It seems like an uphill battle here. This is their first, they played 3 or 4 road games. They're back at home. I think all those things trend in the Bucs direction.
See, you think I just come here with some witchcraft and magic is crazy shit I pull out of my big hat here. I took your strategy last week. I discerned this week whether or not it was the right time to use it. I applied it. I threw it back at you, and you said, you know what? It makes sense here. I'm learning, Ben.
I mean, I think all these things, that's something with betting, and we try to do here on the Awesemo Odds channel. If you're just learning and you're trying to get better at betting, it's not to say there aren't basically no blanket statements. It's kind of like DFS in that regard, where it's like, not all parlays are bad. Not all teasers are good. Not all dogs on the road or this or that. It's always situational. And I think something like this with an alternative line, you got to find your spots, but this could be one of them where you're not going to be able to find -10. I don't see those out there. So what's the difference if you incur a couple more, you take some additional risk, but the payoff could be a little better?
All right, as you can see, as we talk and continue to build tickets here on this game, Mike's using BetMGM in the background. You should be using it as well. It's simple. It's easy. You can bet $10 on BetMGM with our code below, and you're going to get three free months of Awesemo Plus Platinum. I'm doing shows on the other channels. This is the only place, Ben, that you can get 3 free months of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Everywhere else is 1 month.
1 month. And again, it's not, you're going to get that risk-free bet. And then you have this to kind of hone your craft on the DFS side and the betting side. And it's not just for NFL, it's for NBA, it's for college sports, bowl. That's going to cover you for the bowl games. It's going to take you right through the new year. There is no reason not to do it. I know a lot of states have come on board. So if you have questions, of course, at Shander Show, at JazzRaz DFS, it's a really good value. There's no reason not to at least give it a shot. If it's not for you, you've really lost nothing, and you're going to get those 3 free months to make value.
Now, Thursday, we should let people know we have a special day across the board, but you and I are going to be up early, cracking it early, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to have everything from obviously the T-Day games, college football, college basketball. So we will be there talking all that. Of course, today we're going to focus. It's such a big card on
Sure.
Monday. We're going to pretty much stick to this game, and I'm going to talk a little college hoops, but we have you guys covered for Thanksgiving. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to let people know that it's going to be early in the morning on Thanksgiving, that Ben is waking up at the crack of dawn to crack some eggs and come on 9 a.m. We'll be on the big stick there, but the betting show lives on. Exactly. All right, so let's look at tonight. Beyond that, we pushed it to an alternative line. Anybody else throughout the chat, after you hit that thumbs up button, of course, and subscribe to what we're doing on the Awesemo Odds channel. Lock up whatever you have tonight or beyond, of course. But if you do have a play tonight, we'd love to see it, because I know once we get to player props, it gets a little juicier. Is there anything else on the side that you think would be worth a look here? You know, I don't think that the Bucks stand risk of losing anything. So I wonder if the Bucks HTFT is a parlay piece for you. Maybe somewhere else. Maybe you really like something in college tonight, and you can look at this Bucks minus 165. It's a little bit of a lay. I get it. But again, we're not looking at this as an individual unit. We're looking at it as a parlay piece.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I mean, the first half by itself is minus 350. You figure if the Bucks are winning, you know, obviously got a pretty good shot to win the game. I think more often than not, one of the things we should talk about, and I have not done this, but I like to try to anticipate maybe when people tune into the show, what they might be thinking for the game and talk about it. I do think at 10.5, there will be a lot of people that are using the Bucks in 3-team 10-point teasers where they are now basically pick 'em, obviously. So I get that. You know, if you evaluate the game and that's where you come, I don't think that's the worst situation. I don't think you want to just blindly do that because they fit in terms of the spread. But looking at Tampa, I feel pretty confident, as most do, that they're not going to have a ton of trouble tonight. So if you are starting some teaser pieces, I get going there in that regard.
Look, the books are going to clean up if the Bucks win by a field goal. Absolutely clean up. There's going to be the people that are taking the points straight up, and there's going to be, as you laid out, the people that are teasing down, because it's such an obvious piece. If it hits, then it's going to be a far less obvious piece that's going to get us, I'm sure, on Turkey Day. But yeah, I just wanted to look any more on this. The total, again, I don't think it's worth even taking a risk on the first half. You know, first quarter, Bucks moving the football. I don't want anything to do. I'm not even going to bring any wizardry out here with first quarter plays on the total. We're just going to move to player props. All right. So let's start with you, my friend. As always, you guide, you direct, and then we'll follow.
I mean, so I think here, obviously, what I always do, I went to Odd Shopper and I got, you know, I sorted by expected ROI, and I pulled up some of the guys. And the first one who stood out was Kadarius Toney. And the more you look into it, this line just seems very, very short. His receiving yards is at 40.5. We have him projected for well over that. And I think it's pretty easy to see why. First of all, Shepard is not there. So that really gives him ample opportunities to be more involved. I know against the Raiders, he was a straight no-show. But before that, he had been coming on. And the thing I like about Kadarius Toney, he's got a little, I'm not saying clearly he's not Deebo Samuel. Few are, but the thing I like, they can get him the ball in a lot of different ways. He certainly catch the ball down the field, but he's kind of a gadget type player. They can get him pop passes and screens, and the yards after catch can be a factor. So when you look at needing to eclipse 40.5 receiving yards with the multitude of ways that I expect him to be busy tonight, his receptions prop is at 4.5. So they're expecting him to get some work. I'm not gonna say it's a no-brainer, but I think it's pretty clear why this is the best value on the board tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think the receptions, based on where we have our projection, Alex on site, to connect to Odd Shopper and then give us this bet, I'm much more comfortable going with the receiving yards. It looks like just eye test, right? I mean, the receptions is pretty sharp. We have them at 5.2, the overplay at 4.5. Granted, the ROI is there because you're getting plus 132 here in PA. I'm going to get plus money on that as a return for it. But a 25.1 yard differential in the line versus our projections. Yeah, I feel as confident as ever sliding into that one. And I was amazed by that. Now, this is your squad, right? I was amazed by that because Toney has disappeared for a bunch. Don't we pin the Giants on you, or is that unnecessary? I forget.
I got no teams. I mean,
okay.
I used to root
You're
for
fully
Tampa.
jaded.
Yeah, I am. When I was a kid, I actually used to root for Tampa. You know, the
Because of
old,
the unis or the
yeah,
creamsicle
the
unis?
unis, they had a pirate ship. I used to go on that ship when I was a kid. You like the Derek Brooks Tampa Bay teams that could never get past the Eagles or the Rams,
Sure.
but yeah, I mean, don't put the Giants on me. I certainly don't want that, but I do think again it's a situation. The books are almost. It's funny when you look at the two lines, they almost don't make sense together. If they said to me, okay, 40.5 for Kadarius Toney receiving yards, I would assume his receptions prop would be a lot lower, you know, where it's like, oh, he's
Right.
only going to get a couple of chances, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. So again, with he's an explosive player, he does do some disappearing acts. You bring that up, and I do think that's true. But the other part, they beat the Raiders here. I think it's pretty likely that late in the game, Daniel Jones is throwing the ball a lot here. So that helps
Yep.
Toney even more. And it helps all these guys. You know, Saquon's coming back, but realistically, this is a horrible matchup to begin with. And do you think he comes back just immediately at 100%? I don't know. With that injury, I'm worried. Not that he's hampered in any like giant way, but at the same time, I don't expect a huge workload. Guys like Toney should be really busy tonight.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that kind of factors into where I want to look with both Jones and somebody else, right? So what I did with Odd Shopper, and this is kind of following along the convo that you bring up with Toney, I see Kadarius Toney right up there at the top, already on a similar game script with you, which is, hey, the Giants are going to be down. They're going to be throwing the football in the second half. This is going to open up a couple of things. Well, I'm already being told with a mallet over my head, dude, bet on Kadarius Toney. It's right there in front of you. But it's not just going to be Jones to Toney, and it's not just going to be 50 targets to Toney. Other things going to happen. First, that's going to impact Daniel Jones' ability to throw the ball, right? So we should look at passing yards and how we have it projected to go over that. 245.5 on BetMGM. Do see the juice is trending a little bit as I speak. It went from -110 to -125 at 245.5. But again, there's going to be so many opportunities for that. And then the other part of it, Ben, is okay, who else? Like, what happens if Kadarius Toney is on fire and catching a couple of balls in the second half and creating some opportunities? Defenses shift. Now, who else is going to be there? Because the Giants aren't just going to stop throwing the football if Kadarius Toney gets covered on a couple of plays. So does that mean now all of a sudden Darius Slayton, for example, right, or somebody else that you could look at in this game to go over? Now, we had him projected at 44 yards, 30.5 is the line, 238.5 earlier in the day for Daniel Jones, but mentioned that went over. So I would look at that and think, okay, I'm not going to trust Kenny Golladay here, but I want Daniel Jones over passing, and I want the other guy that I think I can identify to get some volume here in that same game script, and I have to identify that second receiver for the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the point to talk about is Daniel Jones only threw the ball 20 times against the Raiders. There's no chance that he's dealing with that type of volume tonight. So guys like Slayton, guys like Toney, maybe even Golladay, even though I don't really go to him, I think could be a lot busier. So there's no doubt that these are lines to look at. Obviously, our man, I'm telling you, this guy, Dan and Chad, who just pointed out the line's really good over at Prize Picks as well. You know, he hit us with that first quarter under the other day, really good at uncovering value. So we appreciate that. This just speaks. There's a lot of ways to get exposure to this. And I think you want to target the Giants passing game. And I'm going to flip it to the other side right now, if I can, Aton. I'm going to target the Bucks passing game a little. I think you can go over on Brady's passing yards. And it's not for anything, you know, crazy. I'm not going to pull out any stats except to say Tampa throws the ball all the time, no matter what. They throw the ball 67% of the time. And that is a team that's normally winning. So it just shows you, even when they get up in games, Brady's passing attempts aren't affected in any giant way. He's thrown the ball 34 or more times in every single game. A lot of those games have pushed into the 40s in terms of attempts, a couple in the 50s. When you have that type of volume, you just don't need to be that efficient. So I think he can cross that 300-yard mark pretty easily. He's at 294.5 on the books. I lean over there as well.
My friend, he is at 300.5 at the books, where I am sitting currently in PA. Yes, sir.
Well,
yes,
that
sir.
speaks
298. Did that not update? Let's see.
That's
no, it's still 290. Okay, so BetMGM still has it here in PA. BetMGM still has it at 298.5. So that's the sharp spot because it's moving up as we speak.
There is a 294.5 out there. If you go on Odd Shopper to the compare. I know we talk about
Yep.
the shop side, and that's obviously
Sure.
fantastic, but the compare side, it's going to pull up every sports book and show you the lines from every single one. There is a 294.5 out there still.
Are you sure? I'm going to go double check.
I'm staring at it. I've seen it.
Okay. Okay. Just making sure, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, don't
Yes.
pull it up. Yeah, they pull it up on Odd Shopper. I'm saying don't pull the book up that Ben's talking about.
Yeah, it's all good. But no, again, I just think you look at you
I
look
know,
at these
Mike. I know.
you look at these
Sorry.
situations.
Yes.
It's just a volume thing. I mean, Brady is going to be
300
throwing.
though. Here's the thing. I get what you're saying. I'm almost tempted to look at the opposite of it with Brady and not go under, but go Fournette. And the reason why I say that is because, like, what we just laid out would lend to the fact that the Bucs would be up in the second half. Are they still throwing? And I'm not asking a rhetorical question. Are they still throwing when they're up considerably? Look, we talked about pushing this alternative lineup to 2 touchdowns, 14 points. If they're up 14 points with 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter and Brady's sitting at 280, is he getting to 300? Is he getting to 303? Is he getting to that number? Or is it a concerted effort to just run the clock out, prime time, get the hell out of there against the Giants team?
So again, I think that goes back to Tampa throws the ball 67% of the time, and they are up in these games. So they've got 3 games so far this year where they've won the game by 21 or more points. And in those games, Brady threw the ball 36 times, 41 times, and 36 times. So it doesn't seem like it really reduces a ton. I mean, maybe he doesn't push 45 passes, but if you're going to tell me he's going to throw the ball 35 times no matter what, yeah, I feel pretty comfortable with the number at that point.
Okay, so let me slide this in here because I think this is a good opportunity to take advantage of a matchup here. Giants are bottom tier, 25th, I think is the latest as far as against the rush. They give up nearly 100 yards on the ground. Leonard Fournette sits at 63.5. And I think from big play to end of game scenario, you're going to get a really good crack at Fournette getting a shot at going over that. Look, I get it where it's probably a little uncomfortable or maybe even a little sharp for people to play. And you're not going to get a ton of break by any means, but I like where I can go here with Fournette 63.5 right now to get over that number. Again, based on a couple of scenarios.
I get it. I get where you're going there. And certainly Fournette has, I mean, I don't know what happened with Ronald Jones in the last game. He was a straight no-show. He had no touches. So if you're going to tell me that Fournette is the guy, and obviously that game script got away from them, maybe he reduces. I just worry, you know, again, volume is king. And there's a lot of situations where even though the Bucs win the game, Fournette only has 12, 13 type carries. And when you get there, you got to be really, really efficient. Now the books have him juiced a little higher than that. The over under on his carries is 14.5. I think if you're going to get that number, certainly I get why you're leaning over. For me, I feel a little more comfortable in the passing game, but I get the logic behind Fournette's rushing prop.
Look at that. Daniel Jones already up over 250, 251.5 passing yards. We got in under a couple of minutes ago, and it was 48.5. Moving the line as we give out player props, my friend.
That's what we do.
What else? All right. I see a bunch of people have already locked up UNC football. We have a ton right there. College at Charleston. I think you're on them as well.
Yeah,
right,
I bet
today?
them this morning, actually. Oklahoma State's good, but I've seen a lot of college at Charleston. I watched them play North Carolina and a couple other teams, and they play real fast, but they're a good team.
Let's do it here. The Odd Shopper Prop Party Parlay. We'll hit some college, lock it up, and then get out of here for a Thursday Turkey Day special edition of the Awesemo Odds Show. All right, my friend, let's hit it. The Awesemo, there we go. The Prop Party.
Love it. Here we go. I mean, you know, there's been a lot of talk, and I think we're going to hear more and more of this as the industry matures and as more states come on, about the concept of parlays becoming more mainstream and not just being these ridiculous bets. Because if you've got advantages and you're able to, the books allow you to correlate and do some things that normally you wouldn't see, you do want to take advantage of it. And this parlay is, if you go to oddshopper.com and you look at this prop parlay that they have listed, you're going to say, oh, I didn't know, Ben, you were behind the controls because this is my type of parlay. Kadarius Toney over 40.5 receiving yards and Tom Brady over 294.5 passing yards. Those are the two bets I talked about specifically that I think are very, very interesting today. But again, Eitan, I know with you, you've talked about this a lot. The great thing about something like this with Odd Shopper is you have so many different props that you can go to and you can pair up. So for me, that's a nice one. It's not a huge payout, but you're still getting a nice little return. Clearly, 2.5 to 1 there on two props that I feel very confident about. So why not just pair them up?
Yeah, I love it. And again, what I've maintained here, it hit on Sunday night. I put the tweet out. So if you're following at JazzRaz DFS at Shander Show for me, tagged Awesemo odds and Odd Shopper with it as well, where I'm taking what Odd Shopper is giving me in either in player props or in this, the prop party parlay, putting them in there. And depending on how many you play, if it's a 4 or 5 leg same game parlay, then you can afford to dip it a little bit with a slider and just allow a little bit more. Now, you're going to sacrifice a return. I get it. So if you're looking to win big Ben Rasa coin out there, it may not be for you. But I always like making sure that I have a little bit of control / advantage, even though I'm sure at the end of the day, it's probably more placebo than not. Point being is that you have that ability to apply the slider, or, and I saw this on Twitter, somebody was responding to me earlier on that tweet, you can flip it the other way and say, well, look, we have this guy we have Tony projected at 66.6 receiving yards, and the slider can go over as high as 65, and that's going to get me plus 150 back, as opposed to dipping that slider all the way down to 40 yards or 35 yards and laying 150, 160. So you have the opportunity, really. It's not just the win percentage or the ROI that I look at, Ben. It's also our projections. It's also how we have a guy projected, because you can take advantage, either giving yourself some room and leeway with the slider, or the opposite, push it, pedal to the metal there and try and get some plus money back, especially if you're working in the same game parlay. I love it, man. Again, hit again for me last night. All I did was go here. I followed the directions. I plugged it in and it won.
I mean, it is true. That's a point that I think I want to talk about before we get. I'm going to sneak in some hoop plays at the end of the show.
We're getting as much as you can, my friend. Yes.
I think what you just said is really, really important, because, for people that are a little unfamiliar, I'll give you a sneak peek into some of the things with Odd Shopper. When you go there, it's not that we are saying, okay, we lean over, and you don't know if we lean over this prop by 0.1 or 1,000. We give you the actual projection from Alex and the team. So you're able to conceptually grasp, wow, it's not that they just lean over on this prop. They have them going over by 25 yards. That's obviously a lot different than saying, yeah, we lean over by 3 yards. Maybe there's a small edge there. Obviously, then you can say, okay, maybe this is a spot where I'm going to be a little more aggressive, or maybe this is a guy that not only I can use for his receiving yards, but I can push it to his first touchdown, or he finds the end zone, something along those type of things. And I think that's one of the really important things about Odd Shopper. We are not just giving you, oh, bet this, this, and this. We're showing you, here's what we're recommending for the projection, and then you're free to do whatever you want, but you at least know where we stand with an actual value.
It's amazing to be able to apply that, because you really don't get that anywhere else.
It's like DFS. We've translated it to sports betting, where you're seeing, okay, this is a real projection of what we see. And Alex and the team have done a great job, and there's so many features there. So we'll see if we make a little parlay party tonight. I'm feeling pretty good about these two.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. And you know what? Before we hit some college, and we have so many lock it ups, before you and I hit them, we have to touch on a couple of these here, especially some aggressive ones. And what we did hit last week, you mentioned Dan with that first quarter NBA, his and my play first half under on Thursday Night Football. If anybody out there played that hit. If anybody out there played Colin Berger's donkey parlay in the NHL, that hit. A bunch of Rasa shit hit, but his stuff always hits. So pardon me if I don't remember all of them. I'm just saying, the chat is picking up. I think Greg SJ1 had one as well that cashed. Everybody in the whole house was on Utah, right?
No, it's been a good run. Yeah. I mean, obviously some sports like hockey and stuff that I don't bet. We had some good numbers in there. And so if you've got something, stop on in and drop it either in the comments or if you're here live, we want to hear about it. But I'm going to make the
Real
move
quick.
to who. Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, before you do that, I was just going to say, and I know we were talking about the 2-bet prop party parlay tonight. If you want to be super aggressive with using Odd Shopper and really applying all of the tools that we have, there is I believe it's 5 tonight as I'm waiting for my screen to refresh here. Yeah, there's a 5-bet prop party parlay in the NBA. So go over to the Shop NBA page after you've inserted what you have. Now you can build a full-on parlay. You can build a round robin and take as many of these plays as possible and put them into 2 or maybe 3 prop parlays in a row with that round robin. Just saying, Ben, there are a lot of opportunities beyond what we have for just Thursday night where you can mix and match and really identify the difference between, wow, this guy has under 4.5 assists. We have him projected for 1, something like that, where you can then apply it to the NFL stuff. All I wanted to say for you at college.
No, it's a good one. It's true. NBA is another fantastic thing with Odd Shopper. I use it a lot there because there are so many teams and so many guys and so many rotations I just can't keep up. So, yeah. And obviously, again, for me, little college hoops action today. If you want to get a little dangerous, if you're sitting around and you're saying, you know what, it's Thanksgiving week, there is a ton of, like early season tournaments today. Just want to throw out a couple of teams. I think Eastern Kentucky is a team that I've been betting a ton. The line has moved to the point where I think it might be a stay away, but just keep that team in the back of your mind. I got it at 13. It's up to 15. And I don't know if you want to chase that, but I will say Seton Hall tonight against Ohio State. I like -2.5. We already talked about College of Charleston. And there's just some really, really interesting games when you go up and down the card. And if you want my full betting card for college basketball, you can get that as part of the package, any package. You get into our Discord. All you have to do is type .picks and my entire betting card each and every day pops up, not just me, the whole team's. So it's a really fun way to capture some value and just have some fun because I have a lot of bets day in and day out in college basketball. I grind it pretty hard. So keep that in mind and hopefully we'll cash some winners tonight.
I love it, my friend. And our buddy John Shelton there on the chat reminding us that Oklahoma.
Finally.
Oklahoma. I told you. I
didn't bet him. So I stayed away, and that's probably why they covered. But
unbelievable.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on. My God.
Maction. All right. See, Dan's going back to the well. Minnesota laying the 0.5 point first quarter against New Orleans, particularly if Graham is out. Pelicans much worse offensively when he's on the floor. All right, look, that already is being built into. See, now I can take that and parlay with Bucks, halftime, full time, and build a little ticket here.
It's coming together. No, I mean,
it's all coming together.
If you know these teams inside and out and you find little small edges, you want to keep taking advantage until the books adjust. That's the key, though. If the books start to adjust, just like when we talked about with quarterback rushing props, at the beginning of the year, they weren't adjusting. Now they have, and it seems clear we don't talk about that nearly as much, but we can't because it's priced out. So I think that's a real good idea to keep going back to the well with things you've identified.
I think Greg SJ1 has earned the benefit of the doubt from you because I saw earlier in the show, didn't he have a game that you had as well? College of Charleston, 16 and a half. All right. So like minds, right? They say think alike here, right? Or smart minds, whatever the hell the phrase is, think alike here. He's throwing out Jones to win the Canadian women's Olympic hurling trials at +250. And you won't tail that?
I didn't say I wouldn't tail it. I just said it's not on the, I don't think I've ever bet curling, maybe once in the Olympics. I love curling. It's very interesting to watch, but I'll look into that after the show. I mean, there's, if you can identify it, if you take the time, there's edges all out there in every single sport, probably.
Yeah, I'm going to do the first quarter. I'm going to do my halftime, full time, and I'm going to complete the 3-leg parlay with Ms. Jones winning this. Anything else that we saw? UNC football +7 on Friday. Shelton is locking that up. Also, Ohio State, Michigan Saturday seems a bit short at 8.
That's going to be a fascinating game. We're going to talk about that on the Thursday show. We'll make room for Ohio State, Michigan. It deserves its own time slot because that's going to be I mean, an all-time potential matchup. Both teams are playing fantastic. I get it. A lot of rivalry games this week. That's all I'll say. You know, you've got UNC and NC State and Mississippi State and Georgia Tech. A lot of those type of games always produce some funky results, but it's also a big opportunity to finish the CFP season strong.
Yeah, and then looking also here, Maction, NIU Western, right? Or also from the Maction too, Greg's NIU Western over 62.5. Overs cashing nicely. I see that as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the MAC for you. They don't play defense. And Kent State, you know, isn't a huge game this weekend. I really like them. That's the only college football bet I have made as we've started the week. I bet Kent State already.
Wow, Dan must be pretty sharp on this because I'm looking over here and the Wolves are already up to 1.5. They're
Probably
minus 150.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. Yeah, you're right. You're right. All right, brother. I'm going to go ahead, start this final lock it up for the week, and then we'll come back Thursday before and hit you with a full turkey day, college, a ton of that. Ben, as always, is going to leave you with the real lock it up. But I'm going to go from where we were last week and actually, you know what? I'm going to give you one that I like moving forward and one turkey day lock it up. All right now for the NFL. I think the Bucs, we both think the Bucs are going to win tonight. I like the Bucs winning this football game tonight. Next week, however, the one line that jumps out the most, and I jumped on this last night, the Niners are really playing well. The Niners and the Eagles are playing really well right now. They're hosting the Minnesota Vikings. They're only laying 2.5. This is an earlier season Niners line. This isn't a current Niners line. I locked up the Niners minus 2.5, November 21st, 8:45 p.m. Eastern time in the evening. And then also, as far as Thursday, I locked up the under for the Bears game before this weekend because Tim Boyle, Matt Boyle, whatever the hell his name is, playing for and now whatever's going on with Fields, I locked in under 44.5, November 19th in the morning. So those are my two. Under 44.5, Bears, Lions, and then I'll lay the points 2.5 for the Niners.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, obviously Thanksgiving is going to be just wild. We will talk about those games in full. Again, chat, as always, love doing the show. If you can hit that like button, pump it up, subscribe, and get the word out. We want to build this channel and want to build this show and get even more features. If there's something that you guys want, let us know and we'll put it in there. Why lock it up? Honestly, I'd love to give something crazy. And again, if you have questions, hit me up on Twitter. I am going to talk about Kadarius Toney just one last time here. It's pretty rare when we have a projection that's that much higher than a prop. And it's not something where I think it's off base. I also, just looking at what I saw objectively, I lean over. He's a guy that can get the ball in a lot of ways. I think the Giants are forced to pass a lot today, unlike last week or last time they played against the Raiders, where they only threw the ball 20 times. So Kadarius Toney, if you can find around 40.5 for those receiving yards, you really want to hit that over and lock that in. I would be stunned if that line is not long gone by kickoff. Love it.
Absolutely love it. And appreciate everybody hanging. Thanks to Mike Awesemo producing. Thanks once again, BetMGM. Ben just gave you something to lock up. You might as well hit that link below. Get that risk-free bet up to $1,000. Bet $10 at BetMGM and then get 3 free months of Awesemo Plus Platinum. DFS, betting, season long, we have you covered. Why not take advantage of it? Be an Awesemo Plus Platinum member, and we'll give you 3 free months. You'll be able to turn that into something, trust me, in a shorter amount of time. Look at that. Kickstart just coming in. You got to hit that notification bell, man, so you're not straggling late. We need something from Kickstart. Kickstart's always giving us something, as well as Shelton and Dan and the rest of them, Greg and all. So I was going to stall for a second to see if Kickstart had to lock it up before we get out of here. I will say that Dan's first quarter Wolves money line at minus 150, Bucks halftime, full-time minus 225. Parlays at a nice even plus 140, Ben.
Always something. Again, a lot of bets out there, but my friends, thanks for stopping in. Let us know what you're doing. I like it. Good luck. And again, mark your calendars. We'll see you guys on Turkey Day in a couple days. See you then.
Thanks, guys.